Millones De Suscriptores, Verdad Oscura Nunca Revelada Dejará sin Aliento. In a small, sleepy town cloaked in shadows, 2 million subscribers followed a popular YouTube channel, yet behind the screen lurked a chilling mystery. What no one knew was that this channel had a sinister secret, one that could freeze the blood in your veins and leave you gasping for breath. Mysterious disappearances, unsettling comments from viewers, and a series of cryptic videos hinting at a darkness simmering just out of sight. Each episode felt like a trip down a rabbit hole, dragging with it every viewer who dared turn on their notifications. In the flickering glow of screens, people were entranced. The channel's host, a charismatic figure with piercing blue eyes, seemed to speak directly to the soul of his audience, but there was something off about him. Those eyes flickered with shadows that hinted at something more than just stories being told. Rumors spread in hushed whispers. Was he pulling the strings behind the bizarre occurrences? Or was he merely a pawn in a much larger game? As nights passed, strange events began haunting the town. Car alarms blared in the dead of night, shadows moved at the corners of eyes, and the locals' laughter twisted into nervous silence. Some claimed they saw a figure standing beneath the streetlight outside their homes, staring, unblinking. Others reported hearing strange sounds, whispers seeping through their walls, making hearts race and minds dizzy with dread. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash the like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As the tension mounted, one local decided to speak up. Derek, a think tank kind of guy, bumbling and nervous, pierced through the thick fog of silence. He believed he had a lead. Just a few nights earlier, he had spotted a flickering light in the woods behind his house. Drawn like a moth to flame, he followed it, and what he discovered would change everything. With apprehension tightening his chest, he whispered something about a hidden room, weapons, and a diary that could expose secrets too horrifying to comprehend. What would happen if the mystery unfolded? If those hiding in plain sight emerged from the shadows, would the subscribers keep watching? Or would they realize the danger lurking behind the screen, compelling them to look away forever? The gripping truth lay just before them, ready to unveil a revelation that no one could anticipate. Derek's heart raced as he recalled his discovery. The moonlight had filtered through the trees, illuminating a dilapidated cabin that had been long forgotten. Its door creaked open, revealing an overwhelming mustiness, like the breath of an ancient tomb. He had hesitated before stepping inside, every instinct warning him that this was not the place for a curious mind. But the flickering light had beckoned him, a siren call pulling him deeper into uncertainty. He had found it, a dimly lit room piled high with dusty crates and old newspapers, their ink smudged but still legible. On a rickety table lay an open diary, pages yellowed and frayed. The handwriting was erratic, filled with frantic scrawls. It spoke of shadows creeping in the night, of eyes that watched from the dark corners. It was as if the author had been both witness and prisoner to a horror that dripped from each line. "Well, what did you see?" A shaky voice broke the silence, jolting Derek from his thoughts. It was Amanda, the town's librarian, her eyes wide with concern. "You can't keep this to yourself, Derek. We need to warn people." He glanced around, half expecting the walls to close in. The tension in the air thickened, an invisible weight pressing down. "No one will believe me," he whispered. "And if I'm right, they'll come for me." Just then, the hairs on his neck stood up. The feeling of being watched made his skin crawl. He turned, his eyes darting around as he half expected to see the glint of piercing blue. "They? Who's they?" Amanda's voice trembled, equally caught between fear and curiosity. Derek swallowed hard. "The host. He's not just some guy. I think he knows more than he lets on." In that moment, the cabin creaked ominously, almost as if it were awakening from a deep slumber. The shadows loomed larger, suffocating, and the air felt alive with unseen presences.
Just then, a loud crash reverberated outside, echoing through the trees, shattering the tense silence.
It sounded like glass shattering, followed by a guttural roar that sent chills crawling down both their spines.
"Did you hear that?"
he gasped, fumbling for the door.
"Derek! We need to go,"
Amanda urged, eyes wide with terror.
But even as they stumbled outside, a figure emerged from the darkness, illuminated by the moonlight.
It was the host, his blue eyes glinting like shards of ice. The corners of his lips curled into a faint smile, but it was not a welcoming one.
"Looking for secrets, are we?"
he called, his voice smooth yet laced with an edge of menace.
"You might not like what you find." Derek felt his stomach twist. He glanced at Amanda, who looked equally frightened and captivated.
As she stepped slightly closer to the figure, he felt a wave of panic surge through him.
"Stay back!"
he shouted, urgent and desperate. And just then, Derek remembered the bits from the diary.
"We need to leave, now!"
he yelled as the figure stepped closer, the shadows shifting with him. Panic-fueled adrenaline propelled them through the trees, each beat of their hearts matching the rhythm of desperation. But the hostess' laughter echoed behind them, a haunting sound that rushed through the branches like cold wind. 2 million subscribers, and you're so close to the truth. As they stumbled towards safety, the weight of the unknown pressed down harder.
Had Derek inadvertently stepped into the very heart of the horror he sought to uncover? What if we aren't alone in this?
Amanda's voice trembled, her breath coming in frantic bursts.
Ahead, the dark woods seemed to pulse, each shadow hiding secrets that were ready to awaken. What had they truly unleashed? And just like that, an unsettling feeling took root. The game was just beginning.
Derek and Amanda sprinted through the underbrush, each heartbeat a silent drum summoning their instincts to rise. The forest around them transformed into a living nightmare as the branches clawed at their skin, each rustling leaf a reminder that they were not alone.
"Do you think he is following us?"
Amanda gasped, glancing back over her shoulder, her eyes wide with fear.
"I don't know," Derek shouted, adrenaline surging through him. "We need to make it to the road."
His voice cracked, betraying the terror that threatened to consume him. The path ahead twisted and turned, growing narrower, almost as if the forest was conspiring against them. Twisted roots jutted out of the soil like skeletal hands reaching for their ankles. They stumbled and lost their breath, but there was no time to stop. A low growl echoed through the trees, rich with malice. It was followed by that haunting chuckle, now closer, taunting them from behind.
"You can't run from the truth, kids. You brought this upon yourselves."
The hostess' voice slithered through the night like smoke, wrapping around them and squeezing the air from their lungs. "I can't take this anymore," Amanda cried, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears.
"What do? We run. We fight." Derek's resolve felt like a flickering flame, yet he clung to it with desperation. He could feel the dread rising in his chest, each breath harder than the last. "Stay close." Ahead, the underbrush began to thin out. A light flickered in the distance. Could it be a sign of help? Derek pushed forward, pulling Amanda along with him. "Derek, wait." Amanda's voice trembled behind him.
He turned, heart pounding, to see her frozen in place. Without looking back, she pointed.
"Something's moving in the trees."
Derek whipped around and his blood ran cold. Dark figures danced just beyond the reach of the moonlight, their shapes in constant flux, darting like phantoms amid the branches. A sense of primal dread gripped him. The woods felt alive with malice, and the feeling of being watched crashed over him like a wave.
"Press on. Don't look,"
he cried, and they pushed onward, the flickering light drawing them closer like a moth to a flame. As they broke free from the trees, the road stretched before them like a lifeline. However, relief quickly evaporated when they saw the figure standing beside a flickering street lamp. The host, now shadowed in the pale light, watched them with stony eyes. "Weary travelers," he said smoothly, his grin stretching uncomfortably wide.
"Did you really think you could escape that easily?" Amanda let out a small whimper, clinging to Derek's arm.
He felt the warmth of her fear seep into his skin like ice.
"We can't go back," he said, panic rising again. "We have to keep moving." To their horror, several figures emerged from the darkness, their eyes gleaming with a predatory glint. They formed a circle, their whispers threading through the air, wrapping around Derek and Amanda like a noose. "What do you want?" Derek shouted, his voice a mix of defiance and fear. The host stepped forward, his expression one of amusement. "Want? Oh, we want the truth to be known, but at what cost?" Just as he was about to speak again, a sudden rustling behind them pulled Derek's attention. A blur darted past, and before he could process it, a shriek fractured the night, followed by a deafening silence as the figure vanishing into the darkness. "What was that?" Amanda cried, the fear in her eyes now tinged with confusion. Derek felt his heart race anew. "It's starting, we're too close," he whispered, realizing whatever game was being played was more sinister than he could fathom. Then the shadows moved closer, creeping towards them with ugly intent. Tension swelled in the air, a storm of dread building. Realization hit like a punch. They were not just participants, they were the next pieces in a horrifying puzzle. Derek's mind raced. What if this was exactly what the host wanted? And then it hit him, would they become part of the dark spectacle, or could they find a way to disrupt the wicked game? But time was running out. A decision had to be made. Would they stand and fight together, or fall into the depths of despair? Derek's heart hammered in his chest as fear coursed through him. The shadows closed in, their whispers crescendoing into a chilling chant that echoed through the night. The air felt thick, almost suffocating, as though the forest was an entity hungry for their despair. "Derek, we can't let them get us," Amanda breathed, her voice trembling like a leaf caught in a storm. He could see the sheen of sweat on her brow reflecting the dim streetlight, and his resolve swelled with a mixture of pride and fear for her safety. "We won T," he shouted, his voice fierce, fueled by adrenaline. He scanned the surroundings, desperation sparking ideas. They had to act fast. "Try to flank them," he said hastily. "We can slip through." Amanda nodded, her fear transforming into determination. They dashed forward, eyes locked on an opening in the circle of figures. But just as they made their move, the host laughed, the sound slicing through the tension like a knife. "Ah, but dear children," he sneered, "there is nowhere to hide. The truth follows you everywhere. Hurry!" Derek urged, and they instinctively dove left, their bodies moving in sync as they crashed past the grotesque figures. Faces twisted into cruel expressions, sharp fangs glinting in the faint light. As they broke free, the road stretched ahead, but not for long. A sudden gust of icy wind whipped through the trees, carrying an unsettling whisper that sent shivers racing down Derek's spine. "Did you really think you could escape?" The words floated like phantom smoke, swirling around them, wrapping tight. Derek turned to look back, adrenaline sharpening his senses. The host stood still, watching, a puppet master relishing the chaos. "Don't listen!" he barked at Amanda, grabbing her hand, pulling her towards the edge of the road where the foliage thickened once more. But as they rushed, dark figures lunged from the shadows. They tried to grab Amanda, their hands mere inches from her. The desperation in her eyes mirrored Derek's own heart-pounding fear. He couldn't fail her, not now. "Keep going!" he screamed, dragging her forward with every ounce of strength. They burst past the tree line, desperation firing them onward, their lungs burning. Suddenly, a scream broke through the night, a blood-curdling sound that seemed to echo off the trees. Panic surged, and Derek's heart sank. That was someone else. "We can't leave them," he shouted, torn between the instinct to flee and the need to help. Amanda hesitated. "We can't save everyone, Derek." "But what if that's what they want us to think?" he shot back, frustration and urgency boiling in his veins. "If we can stall them, maybe we can turn this around." As they clashed with that moral quake, a dark laugh erupted from behind them, chilling them to the bone. "That's right. The more you hesitate, the deeper you sink into this nightmare." Derek felt a tremor of dread grip his stomach. They could either remain paralyzed by fear or make the brave choice to face the truth. With a fierce determination lighting his eyes, he grabbed Amanda's hands. "We go back. Together." Before Amanda could reply, the ground trembled as the dark figures began to advance, a wall of shadows closing in. They were being hunted, pressed by unseen forces. In this moment, everything felt fragile, every choice weighted with consequence.
Would their alliance withstand the pressure, or would it snap under the burden of their own fears? Derek swallowed hard.
We fight together or we don't fight at all.
They turned back, breathing deeply, ready for whatever waited in the gruesome depths of the nightmare they stumbled into. The edges of their world blurred, and the truth loomed above them more horrific than anything they could imagine, and just as they prepared for what lay ahead, the echoes of that chilling laughter returned, melding with their racing hearts.
What would they discover facing the shadows that haunted them? Time to find out.
The moment they turned back, a rush of anxiety ripped through Derek. He could feel the cold breath of the shadows creeping closer, their laughter now a sinister symphony in his ears.
Stay close,
he yelled, clutching Amanda's hand tighter as they plunged deeper into the darkness. The ground beneath them felt alive, pulsing like a heartbeat that matched their own frantic rhythms. Branches clawed at their skin as they sprinted through the underbrush, the world around them closing in fast.
Every snap of a twig echoed, amplifying their fear. With each step, it felt as if they were being hunted by more than just the sinister figures behind them. It was as if the forest too had come alive, conspiring against them. Suddenly, they stumbled upon a clearing. The moonlight washed over them like a chilling caress, illuminating a stone altar at the center, draped in tattered remnants of cloth that caught the light and fluttered like distressed spirits. Derek's breath caught in his throat. What is this place?
He whispered, fear restraining his voice as he glanced around.
We need to keep moving,
Amanda urged, but Derek felt something pull him toward the altar. It was a compulsion, a whispered promise that tingled at the back of his mind.
He stepped forward, brows furrowed in confusion, unsure whether to flee or investigate.
The faces of the figures lurking at the edges of the clearing seemed to open in grotesque smiles, as if they knew something he didn't. Derek.
Don't! Amanda's voice snapped him back, dragging him from the trance.
He turned to see her face pale with terror, eyes wide as she glanced over his shoulder. Before he could respond, the shadows advanced, their grotesque forms pulling out gnarled weapons that glinted ominously. You've wandered too far, children, the host called, his tone dripping with a honeyed malice.
You've stepped into our domain, a place where secrets are sealed and desires are laid bare. What do you want?
Derek shouted back, his voice steady despite the chaos swirling within. He had to confront the abyss, or it would consume him whole. We seek the truth, the host replied, stepping closer, his features shifting like liquid in the moonlight.
And what better truth than the one that lies within you both? Tremors surged through Amanda as she grabbed Derek's arm. We have to go.
Panic flared in her eyes. But the host laughed, a sound that reverberated in the depths of Derek's being.
No. You can't escape that which you are. The truth will be your reckoning.
Either reveal your darkest desires, or face the consequences. The shadow surged forward, encircling them like a wave crashing into the shore.
Derek felt his chest constrict as he struggled to breathe, every instinct screaming at him to flee.
But the pulsating energy of the clearing held him captive. Fighting 1T help you now, a voice from the shadows hissed, piercing the thickening air. It was a voice he recognized all too well, the sound of his own self-doubt.
Face what you are running from, or it will consume you whole.
Amanda looked to him, fear mixed with confusion.
What does it mean? I don't know,
he replied, desperation creeping into his voice. Then ask yourself, what are you truly afraid to lose? The question hung there, palpable, heavy with potential. Suddenly, an overwhelming rush of emotions cascaded through him: betrayal, fear of failure, the loss of the future he once envisioned. All of it bore down, and he gasped for air, staggering beneath the weight.
Derek! Amanda cried, snapping him back, grounding him. We can't let them win. Focus on what we can control. It was a lifeline in the storm. Realization struck him like a lightning bolt. We don't have to face this alone. We fight their lies together.
With newfound resolve, he turned to Amanda, heart burning with purpose.
As they stood united, the figures shifted, their anticipation palpable. Ah, so you choose to defy the truth.
Bold, foolish.
Derek felt a rush of warmth extend between him and Amanda.
Whatever is out there, we'll face it side by side. The shadows tensed, and a message echoed through the trees, let the game begin. But before Derek could grasp what that meant, the world around them began to shift, warping as if reality itself was in primary colors bleeding into each other.
The altar flickered, becoming something dark and sinister. What had they awakened?
What truth awaited them beyond the threshold of this nightmare? And as they took a tentative step forward, the ground split beneath them, revealing a chasm that seemed to breathe.
Would they be able to face the abyss, or would it swallow them both into the deep?
Derek gasped as the ground yawned wide beneath them, its edges crumbling away like off-brand candy breaking in two. He felt his heart racing, an electrifying mix of fear and adrenaline.
Amanda, back up.
But it was too late. The soil beneath their feet twisted and bucked, sending them both tumbling into the darkness below. A scream slipped from Amanda's lips as she grasped for anything to hold onto. Derek reached for her, their fingers barely brushing before the world around them swallowed her whole.
Time blurred, stretching on as they fell. The chasm surrounded them in inky blackness, and panic clawed at Derek's throat. Where was Amanda?
He couldn't lose her. He wouldn't. Suddenly, light burst around him. He landed hard, rolling into a pool of shimmering water that felt both hot and cold, like stepping into a fever dream. The eerie glow cast silhouettes around him, revealing twisted forms crouched along the banks. Every reflex in his body screamed to get up and run, fleeing the inhuman shapes that edged closer.
Amanda!
He called, his voice echoing in the chamber like a distant memory.
Derek!
Her voice sliced through the haze, pulling at his heart. He squinted into the dim light and saw her, struggling to her feet across the pool, water lapping at her legs like a hungry beast.
Amanda!
He lunged towards her, but a shadow stepped between them, blocking his path.
The figure loomed, towering and monstrous, pulsating with an energy that made his skin tingle in dread.
"Ah, the brave knight arrives," it taunted, its voice a slithering hiss. "You seek your companion, yet you are not yet aware of what awaits you here."
"Get out of our way!"
Derek shouted, heart pounding in his chest.
"What do you want with us?"
"The truth, child," the shadow replied, its eyes gleaming with a maleficent hunger. "You both are filled with secrets buried deeply, unacknowledged. Here, we shall uncover them."
Derek felt the air thicken.
He clutched his head, the inner demons that tormented him clawing their way forward. The fear of failure, the dread of being unworthy, all his insecurities clamored for release. Amanda wriggled beside him, her eyes wide with terror.
"Don't listen to them. They're trying to manipulate us."
"Manipulate?"
The shadow circled them, its presence almost hypnotic. "No, dear girl. We merely reveal the truth. Let it out, let your darkness unfurl."
Derek hesitated, feeling exposed. But he sensed Amanda's desire for freedom, and with that flicker of bravery within her, his defiance ignited. "What do we have to lose?" he whispered. He stepped forward, shaking off the remnants of fear, standing tall.
"Go on. Show us what you've got."
A collective gasp erupted from the shadows lurking at the edge of the pool, an echo of reverberated excitement. The ground trembled again, water bubbling violently, and thick, swirling mist engulfed them.
"Then let the reckoning begin."
Derek and Amanda exchanged fleeting glances, their resolve locking firmly in place. They took a synchronized step forward into the ethereal fog, their hands clasping tightly together. And then it happened. The darkness cracked open, revealing visions of their deepest fears.
Derek saw endless failure, family disappointment, dreams collapsing. Amanda's dreams morphed into betrayals and heartbreaks, all the pain she'd hidden away.
The visions clawed at them, longing to seep into their hearts.
But what if they embraced the truth instead? What if there was power in confronting what they feared most?
The questions hung thick in the mist as they braced for impact, hearts racing, breath shallow. But just as the swell of dread threatened to wash over them, a light broke through. Not a light of escape, but a shimmering truth, a spark of unity born from their shared experiences and struggles.
"Derek! We can face this!"
Amanda shouted over the cacophony of their swirling fears.
"Yes," he replied, a fire igniting within him. "Together!"
As their minds bloomed with newfound determination, the shadows flickered, caught off guard.
The oppressive weight began to lift, as if unraveling at their fearless stand. Yet within that light, uncertainty still lurked. What lay ahead? Would they succumb to the whirlwind of darkness or harness its energy to forge their own path? A whisper of a promise lingered in the air, one full of potential. And as the last haunting outline of terror flickered at the edge of their vision, they surged forward, heartbeats thundering, but time was running out. The shadows recoiled, readying themselves for a final strike. Would they break the cycle of fear, or would they spiral into the void, consumed by their own revelations? The mist swirled thicker, casting a dreamlike light over their surroundings. Derek and Amanda's hands remained interlocked, an anchor to hold on to in the chaos. The air around them vibrated with tension, a constant hum like an oncoming storm. "Focus on our strength," Derek shouted, trying to cut through the rising fear. Shadows lunged toward them, snapping and clawing at their resolve. "We can't let it win." "Feel it, Derek. It feeds off our fear." Amanda's voice trembled, yet there was a spark of defiance flickering in her eyes. "We've faced darkness before. Remember the camping trip? No flashlight, just us and the stars?" The memory rushed back. They had sat under a canopy of stars, whispering secrets into the night, their laughter echoing above the rustle of leaves. It felt like a lifetime ago. The thought burned bright in his mind, and for a moment, he let the warmth of that memory encapsulate him, fortifying his spirit, but then a guttural roar ripped through the mist, pulling him back into the present. The creature lunged again, a mass of tendrils snaking toward them. Derek squeezed Amanda's hand tighter. "Ready?" he asked, grounding himself against the storm of self-doubt. "Always," she replied, gritting her teeth, determination radiating from her. With their shared strength blazing in their hearts, they stepped deeper into the fog, embracing the confusion that swirled around them. Derek focused on the fear creeping into his mind, willing it to transform into something more. "What do we fear?" he asked, now more clearly directed at himself. "Failure? Disappointment?" The truths sat heavy in his heart, but he needed to speak them to confront them. "It's okay. Let it out," Amanda urged, her voice earnest as the shadows danced around them, feeding off their reluctance. He took a deep breath, feeling his heart hammer in his chest. "I'm afraid I'll never be enough," he admitted, each word cutting free the tension in his throat. "Afraid of disappointing everyone who believes in me." The shadows flinched, writhing, their energy shifting as if disturbed. Derek glanced at Amanda, her eyes sparkled with courage. "I'm afraid of being alone," she shouted, "of never belonging anywhere." The mist quivered, and the shadows shrieked, twisting violently as if caught by a gale. "Do you feel that?" Derek whispered, a cool rush washing over him. "It's working." "Yes," Amanda panted, her voice rising above the chaos. "This is how we fight it. We embrace our fears. Together." Derek echoed, their fear crystallizing into clarity. They both yelled their insecurities, allowing their truths to spill into the air. The shadows writhed, a chorus of wails echoing around them. Suddenly, the ground trembled violently. "No!" one of the shadows screeched, its voice laced with panic. "You're not supposed to face us." As the shadows melted under their vulnerability, the ground split again, this time revealing an escape route. A glimmer of golden light cascaded from below, inviting them. Hesitation lingered in the air, but in a moment of shared determination, Derek and Amanda bolted toward the light, shoving aside the darker echoes of their souls. "We won. Let fear control us," Derek declared, adrenaline surging through him as he sprinted ahead, but just before they reached the radiant escape, a chilling breeze swept over their backs. An unexpected voice, familiar yet twisted, floated through the air. "You think you can run away from the truth?" Derek's heart sank. He turned slowly, his chest tightening, recognizing the figure that loomed behind them. The final shadow pulled itself into shape, its eyes burning with unyielding malice. "Embrace your fate," it hissed. "You cannot escape what you truly are." Suddenly, the world tipped on its axis, the light flickering, and the truth they had battled hung heavy in the air, balancing precariously on the edge of revelation. What had they unleashed, and at what cost? Could they truly outrun their darkest fears, or had they merely given it a name?
The shadow circled closer, and Amanda's grip on Derek tightened, fear palpable as an insidious smile crept across the shadow's face. The chase was only just beginning. Derek's mind raced. That voice, it wasn't just a shadow. It carried memories, twisted echoes of their past. It knew them. His breath quickened, panic threatening to pull him under. What do you mean? The shadow leaned closer, its features sharpening into the coarse lines of a familiar-faced semblance. Derek's heart thudded violently against his chest. This wasn't just a fear to confront, it was a betrayal, a reflection of everything they'd tried to cast aside. You've always wanted to fit in, haven to you? To be the hero in everyone's story, to be adored. No. Amanda shot back, stepping in front of Derek. You're wrong. We create our own narrative. But her voice wavered, uncertainty creeping in. Together. Derek shouted, trying to drown out the shadow's words. That's what we said. He took a step forward, forcing himself to stand tall. But the shadow countered, and yet, here you are, scared of everything you could never be. Do you think you can stand against the truth? You are nothing compared to what you've claimed to be. With every word, the shadow bloomed larger, more powerful, clawing at their insecurities. Derek felt his resolve tremble. The memories flooded in those times he felt like an imposter, the praise that had felt hollow, the moments he'd spent doubting every cookie-cutter version of himself on social media. Stop it. We are stronger than you. Amanda yelled, her voice echoing through the mist. She touched Derek's arm, grounding him. Remember, Derek, she urged, loving who we are is way more powerful than running from it. Her words sparked a flicker of hope. He took a deep breath, drawing on their collective strength. As if ignited by their bonding gaze, they shouted together, "We are enough." The mist swirled as if the very air quivered at their unyielding declaration, the shadows recoiling, their shrieks cutting deeper than knives, but the shadow transformed, its wicked grin morphing into a malevolent frown. You think you can simply shout it away? Derek felt the air shift, thickening, oppressive. No, he murmured, his footing slipping. Amanda clutched his hand tighter, he could feel her fear, but there was something else, fury. A fierceness that bound them. Let us change the narrative, she declared, clearly steadying her heart against the darkness. Everything we feared is just ink on a page. We are the authors. We tell our own stories. As their voices peeled through the mist, they felt a shift in the atmosphere. Electricity surged. The light from below flickered, shimmering like it was alive. It called them, tugged at the threads of their strength. In an instant, the shadow lunged forward, desperation clawing at its features. You cannot escape. It howled, but as Derek and Amanda shouted their resolve once more, they felt themselves pulled toward the light, a magnetic force that promised safety, liberation. Hold on to me, Derek urged, feeling fear morph into something sharper, purer. They propelled forward, sprinting into the gleaming warmth, every inch bringing freedom closer. Just as they broke through the threshold of light, the shadowy shrieks crescendoed behind them, a cacophony of despair that echoed in their ears. But as they stumbled into the light, Derek realized that a shadow trailed them, not fading away but morphing. The laughter was familiar yet tinged with malice. It twisted into a whisper, "You may have escaped, but I will always be part of you." Suddenly, the ground trembled underneath them, and they found themselves plunged into darkness again, this time, not shrouded in the comforting mist, but in a void, infinite and cold. What now? Derek panted, his heart racing. Amanda's eyes were wild with fear, but a spark ignited in their depths. We keep going, she breathed. We need to face it down. This isn't over yet. And just as another roar erupted from within the void, something unexpectedly profound rippled through the darkness. A pulse, a heartbeat. What could it be? In that chilling space, the truth waited to be unveiled. What was it lurking in the shadows? Would they face it together, or would their fears bind them? Forever? The darkness was suffocating. It pressed against Derek and Amanda, turning their breaths into quick, shallow gasps. The heartbeat, strong and rhythmic, seemed to vibrate through the void, pulling at their insides, wrapping around their hearts like a vice. They exchanged a glance, uncertainty flickering in Amanda's eyes. What if it's too late? Derek whispered, his voice barely rising against the throbbing silence. It's never too late, Amanda replied, though fierce, her voice trembled with the weight of their fears.
The darkness was oppressive, and each second felt like a lifetime.
The heartbeat quickened, matching the racing of their hearts. Suddenly, a flash of light pierced the obsidian surroundings. It illuminated shapes that morphed and twisted, shadows giving birth to faces and figures from their past old friends, lost memories, and haunting images of their failures. Derek flinched as faces he thought he'd buried emerged, mocking and wailing.
It's just an illusion,
Amanda shouted, her courage igniting a flicker of warmth deep inside him.
They can't harm us unless we let them.
Derek clenched his fists, a mix of anger and dread surging through him.
We can't keep running, can we? No. We face it.
Amanda shouted, her determination radiating, pushing back against the engulfing walls of despair. With a renewed sense of purpose, they took a step forward, the rhythm of their hearts synchronizing with the deep pulse surrounding them. As they advanced, the figures wilted under the intensity of their resolve. Together, they echoed, voices resonating against the thick, dark air, we are more than our past. But suddenly, the heartbeat changed, slowing, shifting in tone.
Derek's insides twisted with dread. What's happening?
He gasped, feeling the ground beneath them pulse like an angry beast. The darkness roared, vibrating with energy, rattling their very core. The shadows shrieked in unison, a cacophony of all that had bound them, every judgment, every secret fear clawing to be unleashed.
You cannot escape.
The voices morphed into a terrifying chorus, drowning out their declaration. Amanda shook her head, her jaw set.
Stand firm. We are not defined by them. The faces in the dark molded into a single figure, towering and grotesque, a monstrous amalgamation of all their collective doubts.
It loomed over them, an embodiment of what they had fled from: self-loathing, guilt, and fear.
You think you can defy me?
It hissed, but as it spoke, Derek felt a shift in the air, a surge of energy.
With Amanda beside him, arms intertwined, they found their voices once more. We are stronger than you. We own our narrative.
They shouted, the echoed defiance rippling through the void.
Shockwaves vibrated outward, causing the figure to flinch, cracks forming in its haze. Derek took a breath, summoning every bit of courage. This ends now.
And as they spoke, a blazing light ignited from within them, pushing against the void, forcing it to retreat.
Brightness flooded the space, illuminating the darkness, peeling back layers of doubt and despair.
They sprinted ahead, the pulse quickening, but something far more intense rushed to meet them, a barrier, sharp and crystalline, like a wall of glass forming before them.
We have to break through. Amanda yelled, panic edging her tone.
Just as their palms grazed the surface, the figure shrieked again, enveloping them once more, this time twisting everything into a maelstrom of twisting thoughts and memories, ready to drag them into an abyss.
Hold on tight, Derek commanded, gripping Amanda's hand tightly as they prepared to launch themselves into the unknown, their faces set with determination. But what awaited them on the other side? Would they truly break free, or would they be ensnared in the deeper darkness that lay beyond?
Derek and Amanda burst through the swirling darkness, their hearts racing, and fell into a world that was alive with color, a stark contrast to the void they had just escaped. They landed on soft grass, the scent of fresh earth filling their lungs, the daylight breaking over the horizon in a golden embrace. It was surreal, almost too bright after the suffocating shadows they just navigated. They sat up slowly.
Is it over?
Amanda asked, looking around at the brilliant blue sky and slowly warming sunlight. Derek's heart thudded in his chest, but hope flickered there too. I think so, he murmured, aware of the weight of their ordeal lingering within them, but as they stood, a familiar voice echoed behind them.
Leaving so soon?
The host emerged from the treeline, clad in shadow and light, his piercing blue eyes glinting like daggers. His expression was one of amusement mixed with something darker, a secret pleasure in their struggle. Derek felt a surge of anger, something more powerful than fear.
We've beaten you. You don't control us anymore. He stood tall, locking eyes with the host.
Ah, but do you truly believe that? You may have run from the darkness, but it will always be a part of you, he taunted, the shadows swirling at his feet. Amanda stepped forward, her voice steady.
But we faced it. Together. We reclaimed our light.
In that moment, Derek realized they were no longer merely fleeing shadows, they were standing firmly in the light of their own truth. Memories of their fears spun around him like leaves, but now, they didn't seem so threatening. They were aspects of themselves that shaped who they were yet didn't define them. The host raised his hands in mock applause. How poetic! But every story has a consequence. What are you talking about? Derek demanded, pushing down the rising dread. With a strange smile, the host gestured to the scenery around them, the brilliant colors slowly fading into a bleak monochrome. The truth will stay with you. You cannot escape it, nor can you ignore the scars of this journey. Maybe, Amanda replied, grounding her feet. But we can use them. Every bruise and tear made us stronger. Suddenly, the sky darkened briefly as if the clouds themselves were alive with malice. A lesson learned is a step forward only if you choose to carry it with you, the host warned. Derek felt uncertainty prickle at the back of his mind, but he forced himself to look straight at the host. We won't let you dictate our paths anymore. You thrive on fear, but we have each other. Cute idealism, children, the host sneered, but Derek saw a flicker of unease in his eyes. Fear is just a story, and we're writing our own, Amanda said firmly, and Derek stepped closer to her, their unity sparking a defiance in his chest. As if the words sparked a wildfire, the hostess' shadowy form began to flicker. So be it, he hissed, his voice losing its grip on authority. The shadows writhed around him, swirling with rage and discomfort at their newfound strength. Then, with a rippling wail, he melted away, swallowed by the very darkness they had defied. What a sight it was to see! The weight of oppression lifted, and a new dawn broke before them. The brightness wasn't just a light, it was freedom, a transparency that washed away every doubt they had about their worth. The ground beneath them solidified, the colors around them pulsing with warmth. They had found their way and claimed their reality. Derek turned to Amanda, his heart still racing but now with joy. We did it. She smiled back, her eyes shimmering. Together. From that moment onward, the echoes of their fears transformed into whispered reminders. They became part of their story but not the ending. They walked into a world alive with possibilities, their laughter ringing clear and bright against the dawn. As they stepped forward, they knew they had shattered the cycle and emerged not just as survivors but as champions of their own narratives. And now, before we draw the curtains on this unforgettable tale, you need to hit that subscribe button now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second. Smash that like button to keep those algorithms alive and kicking. You're part of this community, and your voice matters, so flood the comments section below with your reactions, thoughts, and theories about this mind-blowing conclusion, and remember to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see how this story ends. There's power in our stories, and you can help spread the truth. Together, we can create an army of truth seekers. Let us keep telling these incredible stories, and thank you for being part of this journey.